manufacturers or presidents and things like that. You think they're just sitting around just chilling? No, I'm pretty sure they're not sitting and, playing Roblox or, you know, they're not doing that. They're busy. They wake up and they're strategizing, concerned, kind of manipulating, holding one meeting, another meeting, another meeting. Everybody's following up with them. And even as they go to sleep, their minds are running busy, right? Because domination and taking over the world and building an empire, all of those things require an obsession. Those people are actually truly obsessed. And Allah gave us kind of a hint towards their kind of obsession when Allah says, إِنَّهُ فَكَّرَ وَقَدَّرَ فَقُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ ثُمَّ قُتِلَ كَيْفَ قَدَّرَ. These are calculating, strategizing kinds of people. But one thing about them, and we know about Walid, he used to be very poor and then he became very rich, right? You don't get that way if you don't have the hustle. And you have the hustle mindset, and he's constantly pushing and pushing and pushing. But these people, when they get to a certain place, they know that if everybody starts hustling, it's not going to be good for them. So they want to make sure they create a culture of people that are just relaxed. So because they don't want the rest of the population to move up. They want them to stay in a certain place, right? So for them, they create a culture that will keep them busy with useless things. Sports, entertainment, gossip, storytelling, poetry, these things. They'll do one of those things a little bit, but really they're driven 97% of the time with their mission. But they want people to be basically lost in these things generally. We're going to find as we explore this passage that now Allah is not just talking about the top 1%. Allah is now talking about the masses of people, the larger population also, so many of them who end up in hellfire, and why they end up in hellfire. So we're not just talking about the worst of the worst people who end up in hellfire, but why even some general populations can also end up in hellfire. May Allah protect all of us from it. They first say, قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. They said, we weren't from those people who pray. We weren't from those people who pray. This is a deep statement. We weren't from those people who pray. In other words, prayer is directly tied to religion. We weren't religious. We didn't care about religion. It didn't even occur to us to think about religion. That was not our thing. It didn't really matter to us. Life is good. Why do I need religion? Why do I need to pray? What am I going to get out of it? When you live a transactional life, prayer's not going to give you anything. You can't make a channel about, if you pray, you're not going to have back problems. You're going to have better blood circulation because from ruku to sujood to sajda, it's going to increase blood activity, blood flow into your brain, and you're going to have better memory, etc., etc. You're like, wow, look at that. This is why I should pray. No, you could have those benefits with a prayer. That's cool. But then you're saying do prayer because it's a good alternative to yoga. Right? You're not praying because of the right reasons. Their concept was, I just never saw the point. We didn't do that stuff. We weren't religious. That's the first reason they say. But in Quran, in Islam, the prayer is something even deeper. It's not just, some worship, some religion, in some religion. Let's think about the prayer. How does it begin? It begins with takbir. Right? Allahu Akbar. And this surah, interestingly, already said that the fundamental message of da'wah is وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. We started there. Now, when we say Allahu Akbar, we say this multiple times in a day at specific times. No matter what activity you're doing, it disrupts your activity and you turn back towards Allah and you face the same direction and you reorient yourself and you leave the entire world, the argument you were having, the project you were working on, the meetings you were going to have, family time, whatever you were doing, all of that stopped and you just stood in front of Allah and the world disappeared. Whether it was 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, but the world didn't exist anymore. It's just you and Allah and you're just facing Allah directly. Allah truly became Akbar for those moments because nothing is greater than Allah when you're standing there. In fact, Allah is so Akbar that your mouth is not saying anything Allah doesn't want you to say. You're only going to say what Allah wants you to say. Your body will move exactly where Allah wants you to move. Your eyes will only go where Allah wants them to go. You are demonstrating Allahu Akbar when you pray. You're not just saying it, you're showing it, right? And what is that supposed to do? It's supposed to reorient you, to help you appreciate that, we do things every day. We have family stuff to do, work stuff to do, study stuff to do, health stuff to do. We have all kinds of activities during the day. So I'll give you an analogy. I run Bayan. I've been running it for a long time. And we have a team of employees, and some employees are working in accounting, some are working in tech, some are working in marketing, some are working in video production, some are working in research. It's people working in different spaces in the organization, right? And they do the work every day, and they're working and they're working and they're working. And you know what happens over time? You get so lost in the work, you start asking yourself, why am I even doing this? Well, the accountant can look at Excel and Excel files all day and like, this is so stressful. I don't want, But then we have a company-wide get-together. So all the employees get together, and then we discuss what our vision is, what we're trying to do next year, inshallah, what impact we're trying to have, how this is part of a larger goal and objective. So even the person working on the Excel file, and even the person that's working on hours and hours of video editing, or whatever else, and they're sitting there going, wow, this is so boring. Oh my God. All of a sudden they're re-energized. Why are they re-energized? Because they see that their small effort or their corner of the work is part of a much larger unified whole, and that whole is trying to do something great, right? And they're a part of that. So when you feel connected like that and you feel energized like that, your intentions get renewed, your motivation gets renewed, your energy gets renewed, right? We're busy every day doing life, and Allah stops us, and you stand in front of Allah and you start talking about اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين, and what's going to be the day on which Allah will be angry with some people, and why do we need the straight path, and why? Because Maliki Yawmiddin. So even though I'm going through today's tasks and tomorrow's tasks and these micro activities, all of a sudden I step back and I think about Judgment Day itself, the big goal, right? So Allah is actually making us think about the long term every few hours. What does that do? If we truly contemplate the prayer, then we become re-aware of Judgment Day, which is what we're heading towards, every few hours. Renewed, a renewed sense of purpose, a renewed sense of awareness that I'm on a journey and I'm taking steps even today towards that journey. What's even more remarkable to me is on that day, there's parallels between Judgment Day and the prayer. On Judgment Day, we will be standing. In prayer, we're standing. On Judgment Day, nobody speaks unless Allah gives permission. In prayer, we don't speak unless we say what Allah permits us to say. On Judgment Day, Allah describes that there are the angels are going to be showing us the deeds that we did. Kiraman katibin, they're writing. And by the time you end your prayer, you acknowledge the presence of the angels that are documenting you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Think of it another way. When you remember when you used to take exams and the teacher used to walk up and down the aisle, and there's a teacher standing right behind you while you're taking the test? All of a sudden you're not just taking the test, you're so aware of the breath of your teacher, right? And even though if he wasn't there, you would look up, you would look around, you stretch your neck, but while he's there, you're like, because now you can't even, none of that stuff. Hyper aware. Why? Because you're under watch. You're being watched. When we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you're not saying salam to the guy next to you that smells like karai. You're saying salam to the angels. You're acknowledging their presence. You're reminding yourself that you're being watched and you're being recorded and everything you do is being documented, isn't it? With every single end of every prayer. Isn't that what we're doing? And that will come, and we don't see them. We don't see these angels. But you know what? Maliki Yawmiddin, Judgment Day comes. What are we going to see? These angels roll out their record. لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا أحصاها. It doesn't leave any record out. When you don't have that in your life, so for us, prayer is not just, yes, prayer is an act of worship. Prayer is our connection to Allah. The word salah literally means reform, right? To put the the stick in the fire. Remember Salah? Salah yaslu, right? So it's reforming us, it's correcting us, but it's actually burning off our distractions in life. And it's connecting us to the bigger picture. So we don't get lost in the small things. We always think big. We don't forget that we're part of something big. You know, if you don't have high goals, you don't have a high objective, and you don't remind yourself of your higher objective, then you can get lost doing small things and thinking about small things, and years will go by and you won't make any progress because you never set a higher goal for yourself, right? The Quran, its first high objective is, I'm going to meet Allah. Just like if you were going to meet with an employer, you were going to meet with, a university applicant, application processor, you're going to meet an immigration officer. Every day, the meeting with the day of that meeting is getting closer, your preparation is getting stronger and stronger. Your reminder, the day before, you're going to just like make sure you sleep early, you dress properly, clothes are ready, documents are ready, everything's ready, right? So the idea that we're meeting Allah, the whole point of that is we have become more and more serious about our preparation for that meeting continuously. That's the idea of Salah. So these people that are now, these criminals that are being asked, what got you here? Their first answer is, we didn't have the thing that gives us purpose. We didn't have the thing that orients us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically towards meeting Allah. And that is Salah. قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. And if Salah means that you declare the greatness of Allah, and I told you even physically, we allow, the prayer is us accepting Allah's overpowering authority over us. So it doesn't matter if your boss is calling you, your sister's calling you, your mother's calling you, your wife is calling you, your child's calling you, you're praying. You're not responding. Doesn't matter if your phone's going off. Doesn't matter anything. You're praying. And you're not moving. Once you do that, isn't that the first indication that Allah truly is greater than everything else in your life? So if you don't have Salah, which is the first step of takbir, the first takbir is the takbir of Salah. When you don't have that, then any other part of your life, can there really be takbir? No. That's why the prayer is Islam itself. Actually, the prayer itself, it's a unique thing. It's not just an action. In the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah says, that Allah, مَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. You remember Muslims used to pray towards Jerusalem? And then Allah revealed that we should pray towards the Kaaba eventually. And then the Jews came to the Muslims and said, oh, you were praying towards the wrong direction. Those prayers don't count. And Allah responded and He said, مَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Allah will not let your faith be wasted. He didn't say Allah will not let your prayer be wasted. He said Allah will not let your faith be wasted, because that's Allah's way of teaching us the prayer itself is the ultimate evidence of faith. So when they say we didn't pray, they're saying we didn't really have faith. Because anybody who truly has faith, Salah. When somebody comes to me and says, Ustad, I don't wear hijab, what should I do? Pray. Ustad, I have a problem. I'm still trying to quit alcohol. What should I do? Pray. Ustad, I have some bad habits I don't want to talk about. What should I do? Pray. I don't know where to begin. Pray. I feel disconnected from Allah. Pray. How many? 5. 5. I don't even know if I can tell. I don't even feel anything when I pray. Okay, pray. Don't give it up. Don't let it go. Because the first thing people in hell will say is, we weren't those who prayed. You want to be saved? You don't want to be there? And I don't even say you should pray so that you don't go to hell. That's not why I say you should pray. I say you should pray so you have purpose in your life. So you have meaning in your life. So you're protected in this life. And then the other side of it, the Salah connects us to the future. Our meeting with Allah, but there's something else. Allah says, "Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar." The prayer ultimately is the thing that protects you from shamelessness. And the prayer is ultimately something that protects you from all other evil things. In other words, in me, in you, in every